nervous system was doing better after vomiting at 4:30, about 9 a.m. Was doing a little better, but having nervous system issues for 25 years. um, I've been having a lot of stomach and esophagus issues for 20 years. And I just got a lot of GI pain. I also have letters in the mail that say that I have steel shards put in one of my medicines, as well as I was on Renadine for multiple years. I've had multiple prescriptions given to me during childhood that have also been recalled. I've been given extra medications that have been recalled before, like Epicac, where my mother wanted to punish me with it. And with all this during childhood, my stomach has never been the same, still to this day. I've been sober with one relapse for 8 years since I moved to New Hampshire, a little before that. And I don't treat my pain with ibuprofen, Tylenol, or opiates. During my last relapse, I had multiple infections and needed surgery, and I relapsed because when I was in so much pain and I tried to walk, I was having constant seizures on the side of the road and cars were running over my hair, and I was going to have to leave work. But I didn't have any money to pay my rent. This was the height of COVID, and even when I caught the flu, COVID, they still would not even let me leave work because I was an essential worker, I'm disabled, and they love using me up. So if I no longer have COVID and I'm having a seizure on the side of the road, if they weren't going to let me leave work with COVID while getting hurt on the side of the road, I don't think they're going to let me get out of work because now I have multiple infections and I'm having seizures on the side of the road. So until I could get surgery, I had to come up with a solution to kill the pain of the multiple infections, lower the neurological disorder, shocking me and causing me to have seizures on the side of the road so I can continue making money to pay my rent so I don't have to live in the woods and die. But if I keep it up, the infection will kill me, so I need the surgery. So I'm going to the emergency room every 2 months, and they're doing round after round of antibiotics. By my third round of antibiotics and by my third bottle of being given codeine or Vicodin, I decide I'm just going to take painkillers and keep working. That's how my relapse happened. As soon as I got my surgery, the next day, I got sober. There was no reason to continue taking painkillers, even though I still am in pain, and I'm still having seizures, and I'm still having issues. They're not daily. And I hate those painkillers. So I don't take any opiates. I'm on a naloxone synthetic opiate mix that you can't get high off of because the naloxone, it doesn't work well. It's the equivalent of taking 5 milligrams of codeine. It's the equivalent of a 5 milligram codeine, and I take one a day. And those are going to be gone very, very, very soon. I don't want to take those. I don't want to take them. They do help with my seizures. They do help with the pain, but I don't like anything with side effects that might be something that you can't get help because you're on. And I've run into problems with many places that won't help me if you're on certain medication. Like, did you know if the hospital gives you Ativan because of a seizure and you try to go in, and you try to go into a shelter, if the hospital did not give you anything for the EMT's paperwork, what they usually don't, if the EMTs give you Ativan, it's usually not on your paperwork when you're released. You have to specially request it, and it usually takes a couple days to get it for you. At least that's what I've run into a problem on 3 different times in 2 different states. I was refused or had to wait a long amount of time to get the paperwork on what the EMTs administered when they picked me up. But the shelter will not let you in if they administered Ativan through an EMT and you don't have paperwork. So there's always loopholes like that that make it so you have to live outside in the snowbank in 0 degrees. You try to sleep on a bench and you'll be arrested and put in a prison for a year for trespassing. The homeless are not allowed to sleep in a bench unless you're in Boston or New York. If you're in one of the extra large cities, They usually have city ordinances where they don't arrest people for just sitting down on a public bench. But if you're in any other city, they have ordinances where they do arrest and imprison you for just sitting on a bench and not keeping it moving. So if you have to sleep someplace, you have to crawl deep into the woods when it's 0 degrees and snow out, curl up in a snowbank and try to sleep in the snow, because the shelter will not allow you to go in there. You're going to jail if you try to sleep anywhere in public, and you can't keep walking in circles while sleeping, and you can't stand up in a hallway still and sleep while keeping moving either. So there's no way to possibly sleep and not be breaking the law. So you have to walk into the deep woods and hope that you survive for the night. So this is the society we live in today, and I'm not the only one experiencing this problem. It's a very common problem in Lowell, Lawrence, Haverhill, Rochester, Somersworth, Dover, Portsmouth, Winchester, Worcester, town after town you go to. Now, New York and Boston, you will be able to sleep on a bench and not get arrested. What I find weird, that the big cities are now allowing people to sleep on benches or sit on benches, but they are putting spikes through the benches so that pedestrians get stabbed or hurt while they're trying to sit. So the big business owners, or the people who work hard for a living like me, or that give back to society, when we want to sit down, we're not allowed to. When we want to use a shelter, we're not allowed to. Even though I work hard and gave my life for this country and other people. I work with elderly people. I worked with disabled children. I've given back everything, my organs, my health, my time, my money to this society. And what I get in return is organ failure, pain, suffering, and living in the woods. People steal my paychecks. Literally, after having me work over 40 hours, I find out that I don't get paid, even though I'm on the books. People try to have you do work another shift. Somebody calls out, you cover that shift, and then you don't get paid for the coverage. And then you go to the doctors, and the doctors want to believe in dead women's fantasies over their patient. Why? Because it's easy. Because they want their job to be easy, and they make the same amount of money. Even though there's hundreds of people, witnesses, people coming up, seeing this with their own eyes, is easier for them. And I don't have any of these witnesses going into the doctor with me. Do you think my teachers from childhood are going to come to the doctor with me? Do you think my brothers and sisters are going to go to the doctor with me and tell them about the time my mother admitted to giving me extra medicine? You think that they're going to bring me into the doctors and talk about 25 years of lost abuse that nobody wants to talk about? Do you think that any of the strangers who saw me have seizures are going to go to the doctors with me and tell the doctor how they saw me flopping like a fish, unconscious, bleeding everywhere? Do you think that the doctors in Lowell, Massachusetts, you think the doctors at 8-7 in Westford, you think the doctors in El Paso, Texas, you think any of these doctors are going to go meet these doctors up here? Do you think my father's going to give me the names of the doctors I went to during childhood? No, he's not going to give me the names of those doctors. You think he's going to give me the address or the name of the buildings? No. I get nothing. I get to die in the woods, freezing to death, for giving my life, and to the state of Massachusetts, El Paso, Texas, New Mexico, Maine, and New Hampshire. I was born to a mother. The state decided at the age of 2 to put me up for adoption and take me away. Before I was even in foster care, they already gave me a double dose in the same hour of Ritalin. They're already at the age of 4, 5 years old, around there, in St. Anne's Orphanage, double dosing me with Ritalin in the same hour. I take my medicine. 15 minutes, I'm at a breakfast table. 15 minutes later, I'm on the floor taking the same dose, same medicine twice. And because they don't think I took the first one. Why? Because another 4-year-old wants to cause trouble at a breakfast table and put ketchup in somebody's orange juice. Fucked up, huh? I had to get abused because of ketchup in an orange juice? But yes, this is what's happening. And that's only the beginning. That's nothing. That's one medication. There was another time in Lowell Treatment Center at the age of about 13 where they double dosed me with about 4. Now, they wrote into my file, most likely, that I was cheeking it or something like that. but it was a glass of ketchup. This other kid put ketchup in my orange juice and was trying to cause trouble. And the other time I was telling a kid to stop talking about cocaine, stop talking about drugs. What are you, a loser? And then he went out and made a story about me not taking my meds. So there was nothing there. There was no medication in my mouth. Nobody saw any medication. They watched me take my medication, and then they forced a second dose on me. Why? Because my roommate or the kid eating breakfast with me wanted to cause trouble. Why did the kid during breakfast at age 5 want to cause trouble? Because I wasn't getting mad. Now that might not make sense, but he put ketchup in my orange juice and then said, "How do you like that?" And I looked at him and I realized he wanted me to get mad, and I didn't give him that. So I went back to my scrambled eggs and I was eating them. Then he goes, "Watch this." Leaves the breakfast table, starts talking to a staff member. I'm still eating my eggs. The staff member comes up to me and goes, "Did you take your meds?" I go, "Yes, I did." "Well, what's that red stuff in your glass?" "That jerk over there put ketchup in my orange juice." "Well, we're going to go talk to the nurse." Then they bring me to the nurse, and the nurse goes, "Did you take your meds?" And I say, "Of course I did. Why are you asking me this?" "Well, Bobby says you didn't take your meds." "Well, how would he know? He wasn't in the line. He would know all he was doing is sitting at breakfast with me. You don't give me my meds at breakfast. You give it to me before. He's not my roommate. He wasn't in line with me. Why would he be saying that?" But I'm only 5 years old, so I can't say all that. Instead, I just say, "I took my meds. That's ketchup in my orange juice. Bobby put it there." And they say, "Well, where's the orange juice?" And then the other staff member goes, "Well, we just cleared it and threw it away." "Well, I'm sorry, Zach, but we're going to have to double drug you." "Yep, we're holding you down." "Okay, get the needle ready." Yep. Get the syringe. Yeah, he's not going to swallow it. "Yeah, stop it. You're hurting me. "Yeah, get the syringe ready." That's what they did several times to me. Several times. Force medications on the children. Double doses. I don't care about them giving kids. I mean, I do care about them giving kids medications that they don't need. But I don't care if you give a Ritalin to a kid that actually has ADHD. But giving them a double dose in the same hour without telling the doctor that you're giving him twice the dose, without getting him any medical care, that's dangerous. One medication isn't that dangerous. But when it happened to me at age 12, 13, there was many medications involved. And I was a drooling mess with my heart beating out of control. And I had a hangover headache for like a day afterwards. And this was my childhood, being forced up, literally people grabbing me, throwing me to the ground, forcing double doses of medications in me, having me strip naked and do squats in front of them while they check my cheeks. They grab my ass cheeks and spread them with gloves, checking if there's anything up my asshole. And I'm only age 12 years old, 13. And why are they doing this to me? Did I kill somebody with a hammer? Did I burn a building down? Did I beat up a kid? No. I did the scientific method. I took one match and brought it to some slug slime to see if it could be made into a fire extinguisher or a fireproof jacket someday when I'm older. I did a science experiment and I did the scientific method. I brought one match to some slug slime. But my mother made up a bunch of fantasies. She said that meant I was a serial killer. She said that meant I'm hurting animals. That meant I'm a big fire setter. I have fire problems. That means I'm mentally ill and need lots of drugs put into me. That means I need to do naked squats in front of black people and white people with beards and ladies who like hurting children. And I get to get naked while people take gloves and grab my ass cheeks and pull them aside. Stuff like that. You know how traumatic it is to be a 13-year-old with an adult spreading your ass cheeks, telling you to squat behind a curtain, and then half the time there's no curtain? I never understood that. The girl staff member, we squatted behind a curtain, but the male staff members, they got to see us pure naked. We were squatting just their backs. They just had us turn around with our ass facing them, butt naked, and then we would have to squat in front of them. And if the staff member thought that there was anything in between your cheeks you were hiding, he would put on a pair of gloves and spread your cheeks and then tell you to squat, and then you were done. I am a 12, 13-year-old who just missed 3 years of school, just was trafficked all over the country, just experienced drugging after drugging. I'm on multiple medications. I'm having heart palpitations, extreme headaches. I'm vomiting. I have upset stomach. I'm underweight. I have a mother abusing me. I have all this shit going on. My mother's brainwashing me, trying to twist my mind, coming up with fantasies and stories that are hurting me. And on top of this, now I'm getting naked because my parents want this. My father wants me to get naked in front of strangers. My mother wants me to get naked in front of strangers. Why do they want this for me? I'm missing school, for goodness sake. I mean, what the fuck? I'm missing education. I'm getting hurt. This is setting me back years. And my mother thought this was a great idea, and my father heard about the strip checks. He knew what was going on when he dropped me off and did visits, but they didn't think that it might be a little problematic to have their child getting naked in front of strangers. Oh, it's just doctors. No, they're not. They're not doctors, you idiot. These are staff members. These are people who are interns and staff members. They don't even have a nursing degree. Half of them do not even have their second year nursing degree. They're working towards it. These are basically people who are just starting out to get their 2-year nursing degree. There was a big African American, a white guy with a beard who was like 55, 60 years old, and an older lady who was 55 that couldn't make it as a nurse. She had a 2-year nursing degree and got banned from every place. You couldn't work at any damn nursing place. And no matter how many times I tried to get out of this fucking Lowell treatment center, I got sent repeatedly back there. Every single time I ended up in the emergency room. If I fell, Lowell Treatment Center. There was a time where I had a seizure and some asshole poured liquor on my body. I was woken up from unconsciousness, and they asked me why my urine was clean. They said, "Why are you sober?" I said, "What fucking type of stupid question is that? Why are you asking me if I'm fucking sober? Why are you asking of course my urine's clean. I'm living outside in the fucking woods, and I'm sober, and you got a problem with that?" They said, "Well, no, calm down. It's just that your whole body smells like booze." Well, we couldn't find any drugs or booze in your system. We put it down as possible drug abuse, but we can't find any drugs. I said, "Of course not. Some asshole poured booze on me when I was about to go unconscious because I asked him to call 911 and he thought I was a fucking drunk. Because I'm always drinking to treat this, but I haven't drinking in weeks, and that's the problem here." They go, "Well, we're going to send you to the Lowell Treatment Center. Or first we're going to evaluate." So I tell the evaluator, "Hey, I'm not suicidal. I didn't drink. I'm trying to get my shit together here." And then they goes, "Well, we don't know what's really going on, so we're going to say it's suicide and drugs, and we're going to send you to the Lowell Treatment Center." But the urine is clean. You clearly see that. You don't see any marks on me. You just found my body unconscious on the side of the road with my clothing soaked with booze. Anyways, they sent me. And once again, the Lowell Treatment Center let some freaky guy 8 doors down every night, not even sneak. They walked right across this heavyset lady staff members, right across her site, went into my room while I was asleep, tried to get into my bed, then stuck his hand down my pants and tried to stick his finger up my bum, which I woke up, grabbed his neck, threw him out of the bed, turned on the light, took his ass, threw him outside my room, and then demanded that staff stop letting this damn kid come in my room. An hour later, this kid is back. The next day, this kid is back. I continue having to almost kill this kid because these staff members won't do their jobs. On the third day, during the day, he tries something in front of the doctors, staff members, everybody, and I react and almost break him. But I hold back and I don't. And then they check the cameras and they realize that every night I was potentially being raped, even though they see me on camera also taking this guy and throwing him out of my room by the neck. So they clearly show that I'm not too happy. And then they want me to sign some piece of paper saying that I'm not going to sue, which I refuse to sign, which they promptly and quickly then released me from Lowell Treatment Center. So this treatment center has hurt me several times. I have PTSD for the rest of my life thanks to them as well. I have memories of my mother giving me an overdose, an African American choking me out in New Mexico, my mother doing a lot of weird stuff with pills, then a lot of treatment centers in places I got one PTSD memory from St. Anne's Orphanage. I got one from Lowell Treatment Center. I have another one I'm thinking, god damn, these are hard. I don't like thinking of these. These are really bothering me. I gotta stop. But I have another one from Lowell Treatment Center. Just a lot of PTSD and abuse in my life. I'm basically just used up. My father also used me up. He's used me several times. When I was turning 18 to 19, and I was needed to pay my program for rent, and I was supposed to be learning how to manage my Social Security. My father was keeping it a secret from the program, a secret from the state worker, a secret from me, and he was supposed to pass that over for my rent, and then he got caught. Why? Because I helped him pay for his house that I wasn't living in. Yes, and that was totally illegal. He was supposed to turn it over a year prior. Also, that was required to be turned over if I wanted to live in the program. And they're having me fill out for food stamps, and I'm writing down that I do not collect any Social Security. I'm signing up for Social Security. I'm signing up for food stamps. Meanwhile, my father's already collecting benefits in my name that he already was supposed to be turning over. That isn't the first and only time. When my mother passed away, I got a call from an attorney, and he decided the best thing to do would be lie to me and swoop in and take my inheritance. That's not the only thing. When I won a swimming medal in the orphanage, him and his wife decided it was a good idea to steal my accomplishments. That's not all. When I needed an education, my father decided the best thing to do would be vacation and sell his property so he could make money. Meanwhile, my mother just teaches me in the other room. Not only this, when he was in Texas, instead of getting me any health care or getting me any type of things, he decided the best thing to do would just go along with his wife's fantasies and then put me in this weird cabin up in New Mexico without thinking about any of what he was doing. He didn't think about the dangerous animals. He didn't think about the lack of supervision by parents. He didn't think about what they were actually doing. He didn't think about the big black man. He didn't think about anything. None of that occurred to him. He didn't even think about the reaction to his son when he said, "Do you want to stay here?" And he said, "If you put me there, I'll slit your throat." I mean, that's the biggest no that any 7-year-old or any child could ever do. No, this place is dangerous. Do not try to put me in danger. So when you go through a whole childhood, it's very clear that their happiness came before my safety, education, or health. If I had to sacrifice my health for them to have another vacation, it's okay. If my father could trade me for a $10 bill, he would do it in a heartbeat. If my father could gain $10, but I had to hurt for the rest of my life, like if somebody was willing to chain me in a basement and rape me for the next 10 years, and they would pay every year my father $10, and they would make sure that my father would not see me or hear from me, he would take that deal in a heartbeat. Because all he cares about is not hearing from me, not cleaning up his mess, vacationing, trying to just drink and have fun on beaches and Bermuda and cruises. Meanwhile, in 2011, his wife passed away from drinking and pills. In 2010, his wife was still poisoning and hurting a teenager who she spent 15 years poisoning and destroying his health. His son just spent 15 years trying to get any health care. His son still doesn't drive. His son's Social Security was crashed by him. Any future of his son getting an apartment was crashed by him. He's now destroyed all of his son's financial future, all of his future of driving, and now he's trading up to remarry and trying to run off in the sunset, leaving his messes onto his kids to clean up. Not too great, huh? No. And now there's no more strength in me. I'm on the toilet as I do this video. My GI is killing me. I'm getting shocked up my back every time I say a word. And the only reason why I'm having this pain and using the bathroom is because I just vomited so hard that everything moved a little. And that caused a bowel movement that wasn't ready. Now, obviously, it wasn't like I shit myself. I had to come to the bathroom, which I'm in. But I wasn't planning on using the bathroom while vomiting. I wasn't planning on having to get up, take a Zofran, and go right into the bathroom, vomit into a mop bucket, and then shit. I wasn't planning on doing that. But thanks to my mother and father's choices during childhood, yes, my stomach, my esophagus will always give me problems. My stomach and esophagus have been giving me problems since my mother decided to poison me with a whole bottle of Epicac and poison me with several medications, mix her own medications in, play around with drugs, drug me on Halloween with God knows who what, play around with pills and dangerous medicines, and try to avoid getting me medical care when the doctors are offering to help me. When the doctors and teachers offered to finally help me at the age of 7, my mother tries to cut off all medical care, put me in ballet of all types of help. Yes, I'm having problems with my nervous system, moving, coordination issues. They want me in speech therapy, physical therapy. The doctor just heard about an overdose. He's concerned about the loss of sight in the eyeballs. He's concerned the fact I couldn't talk or stand up and that medications were involved. We're trying to look into this, but then my mother decides, no, let's go to Texas and stop all medical care. Then let's not make sure that he gets medical care in New Mexico. Yeah, they don't have any machines. They can't test him up there. There'll just be some psychiatrist in a room that runs the whole organization. That's not medical care. That's not machines. That's not blood pressure. When I got food poisoning, they didn't do anything for me. All they did was give me a glass of glass of apple juice every morning, and I was bedridden for 7 days, and I puked nonstop for 7 days. That's why they gave me the apple juice, as I was pale, dehydrated, and dry heaving for 7 days straight. And why? Because I was forced to eat green rotten eggs that smelled like farts, terrible, terrible rotten eggs, and milk that had little chunks of cheese floating in it, little chunks that smelled so sour that was easily like the most rotten milk I've ever tasted or smelled in my lifetime. And yet, if I did not eat and drink this, I was going to have the black man choke me out on a couch until I turn blue and can't breathe. And then when I pass out because I can't breathe, he'll release me, let me come to, and then choke me out again. He'll repeat this a couple times and then tell me, okay, you little white kid, you learn your lesson yet, you little brat? Something like that. Now, that is not the proper method for a holding. You don't do it over the neck, you don't leave bruises on the arms, and you certainly don't collapse the windpipe. And the arms are so skinny and small on these kids that he has to pull so hard to get them to touch the windpipe. Your arms aren't supposed to go that way. So, yeah, your sockets hurt. Every part of your shoulders hurt like a bitch. There's bruises in your shoulders. Kids are screaming in pain, tears running down their face, bruises all over, turning blue and passing out. And God forbid that heavyset kid, that heavyset 12-year-old. He was so heavy that his arms had a lot of fat in them. So when he got holded by Toby, it collapsed his windpipe really tough, and he suffocated right away. And there was a couple times that the female staff were worried he might die, and they came over and told Toby to stop. And then Toby's like, fuck you, I know how to do it. I should teach you how to do this. Yeah, so problematic, deadly, and people like that need their testicles removed. And if you think it's okay to do things like this to your own child, I'm not sure if you should be allowed to have children. I'm not sure if you should have any children near you. I'm not even sure if you shouldn't have what they call natural consequences hit you, because there are natural consequences in life. Things happen. Like, for instance, if you kick a dog over and over, you know what a natural consequence of kicking a dog is? You get holes in your leg. You know how these holes appear in your leg? From little doggy teeth. How did these little doggy teeth get in your leg? Well, it's a natural consequence of going around kicking animals and defenseless animals. Yeah, you might be able to kill that animal. Yeah, you might be able to put that animal in a cage. Yeah, you might be able to snap that animal's neck. But God forbid that animal rips your leg into two and you need a fake leg for the rest of your life. God forbid that animal bites off one of your fingers or bites off your penis and you can't have children for the rest of your life. When you kick or abuse another living creature, don't be afraid when God sends consequences your way, called natural consequences. If you chop down a tree and then that tree falls on you, well, maybe you should have been more careful while killing trees. If you're going around chasing a black widow, playing with the black widow, trying to stick your finger to squish it, and it's running away from you, and you finally get it cornered, and you try to squish that black widow with your thumb, and then it bites your thumb, and you get horribly sick, that's natural consequences. You shouldn't be trying to squish black widows. And actually, that's a real one. We had a kids trying to chase down and play with black widows in New Mexico. The black staff member came by named Toby, and you know what he said to all these group of kids? There was 5 kids with a black widow under a cup outside. Now, we knew we had one under the sink that we weren't allowed to play with, but they wanted to play with this one outside. Toby said, "Be careful, they jump. Have fun playing with the black widow." I mean, we're surrounded by diamondback rattlesnakes, black widows, and the kids are playing with it, and the staff member think this okay. Thank God nobody got bit by that black widow, but it probably would have drawn a lot more attention to that program.